Welcome to In 5 Minutes as we discuss how epigenetics defeats evolution's random mutations. In the diagram on the left side, you can see the theory of evolution in a simplified form. The two squiggly lines are DNA molecules, and down below, you can see a gold star, which implies a mutation that occurs to the DNA, which causes a change to the organism. On the right-hand side, epigenetics, however, places a tag on top of the DNA, top meaning above, or epigenetics. And this also changes the way the organism turns out. On an expanded view of the theory of evolution, the top right, the theory of evolution depends on mutations, random mutations specifically. And for years, they assumed they were random. On the top left, you see a gold arrow. This is when DNA is replicated. This is when most mutations occur. And for years, they thought this replication process produced random mutations. Once the DNA is replicated, it produces an RNA, which then produces a protein, and the protein shapes the organism. This is a GIF of the polymerase as it opens up the DNA molecule, and it adds new letters to it. And this occasionally has a malfeasance or mutation. This is a simplified version of this, the types of gene mutations that can occur. Top left shows an insertion where an extra letter is inserted into the DNA. Top right shows a deletion where a letter is taken out of the DNA, and then a substitution on the bottom can occur as well. Other types of mutations can also occur. Whereas with epigenetics, it does not depend on mutations because epigenetics places tags on top of the DNA. Top right, we see a chromosome, which is tightly wound DNA. In the chromosome are nucleosomes, which are brown basketball-looking shapes that the DNA winds around. And then you can see the little tags that are placed on top of the nucleosomes. In the bottom, you can also see little red tags, which says that tags can also occur on the unwound DNA. And this is what usually causes much of the expression changes of epigenetics. Our body has about 40 trillion cells in it, and each cell has about 6 feet of DNA. If you took that and unwound it in space, it would go from the Earth to the sun and back 600 times. The sun is about 93 million miles, so a round trip would cause about 200 million miles times 600. This tells you how incredibly compact our DNA is, and that's occurred by epigenetics. So since epigenetics really controls how the DNA is wound up, it controls how life is expressed. When the DNA is damaged, repair enzymes need to gain access to the damage, and this requires epigenetic changes to the compact structure. So DNA repair is not the simple model per Darwinism. However, it's the model where epigenetic tags compact the DNA, and this controls how repairs are done. So today, really just in the last 5 years, the studies are oriented towards epigenetics and damage repair, because we're discovering that epigenetics is really the thing that's repairing the DNA, not only the polymerase, but the epigenetic guides the polymerases. You can see the nucleosomes in yellow from the chromosome, and the epigenetic tags which sit on top of it repairs that piece of damaged DNA in red. It's quite complex, and you can get an overview of those nucleosomes, again, with all sorts of mechanisms that are epigenetically guiding the repair of DNA. Just last year, Nature Journal, which is the most popular and prestigious of journals of evolution, pointed out that mutation is not as random as we thought. They go on to say, since the first half of the 20th century, evolutionary theory has been dominated by the idea that mutations occur randomly with respect to their consequences. This is an incredibly important statement because that is the basis of neo-Darwin evolution. They go on to say, we conclude that epigenetic mutational bias, now that's a different, it's a repair mechanism that's epigenetic and it's biased or shaped, not random. This challenges the prevailing paradigm that mutations is a directionless force in evolution. Our discovery yields a new account of the forces driving the patterns of natural variation, challenging a long-standing paradigm regarding the randomness of mutations. Join me in my Facebook group called Darwin versus Lamarck, as we discussed many of these issues.